everybody. It's great to see you all here. Thanks for coming along. My name is Ruth Fletcher, and I'm a long-standing member of Lawyers for Choice. And I've also been working and thinking about Irish abortion law for a long time. So I'm really excited to be here. It's exciting to be at this moment, I think. I think a lot of us thought that it was a long time away, a referendum. And I know it's scary in lots of ways and intense, but I'm just so pleased that we're, just over 2 weeks away from a referendum that we fought for so long. And so it's a really optimistic moment, I think, in the sense of having that sort of open legal conversation about how we're going to replace the Eighth Amendment and remove this harmful part of our Constitution. And I guess what's really pleasing about the point we've got to as well is just the way it's resulted from such open democratic conversations with the Citizens' Assembly and with the Joint Oireachtas Committee. And so we want to be part of that conversation in Lawyers for Choice. We want to take pride in the fact that we've got ourselves to a position where we're having a referendum and where we're looking at a situation where, with the proposed legislation that will replace the current status quo, we're looking at a situation where we're going to remove the discrimination between physical and mental health. We're going to remove the binary black and white distinction that's been between life and health. And we're going to make terminations available for fatal fetal abnormality. And moreover, we're going to be listening to women's and pregnant people's experiences of pregnancy. And just moving to a point where hopefully we'll have abortion lawful up to 12 weeks is such a significant and positive change for Ireland. So we're really proud in Lawyers for Choice to be part of this conversation. And that's what today is about, really. It's about launching legal materials, plain English guides that talk about these key legal issues in simple terms and that aid all the wonderful local Together for Yes groups that have been holding stalls and hosting meetings up and down the country for months and years probably, but under the auspices of Together for Yes for now. So part of what we do in Lawyers for Choice is about making legal information accessible, encouraging participation in the debate, and it's also about, with Ask a Lawyer, this particular initiative, we're encouraging people maybe who haven't been involved up to this to get involved now. We've got a wealth of legal materials available through our new website, lawyersforchoice.ie, and also you'll be aware that our colleagues Mairead Enright and Fiona de Londres, who unfortunately can't be here today, but collaborated with us in producing the leaflet that's available free around the bar at the moment and is available online. They've got a wonderful website as well which answers questions on abouttheeighth.com. So there's a wealth of legal materials available and no excuse basically for not getting involved, not getting stuck in. Okay, so we've only got a couple more weeks to go, so we're looking forward to encouraging people and supporting people in participating. And so with Ask a Lawyer, that's an initiative where we'll welcome people volunteering to join up with local Together for Yes for groups. Outside Dublin in particular, lots of groups are trying to cover a lot of territory. So I know Emma is here from the Centre for Law and Disability Policy today, but she also wears a hat as Tipperary for Choice. So there's lots of people here who are doing work throughout the country, and we'd encourage you to volunteer to help them with Ask a Lawyer and participating in that way. So the other important thing that we're doing in Lawyers for Choice and hosting events like this is, as well as trying to make legal arguments accessible and encourage legal participation, we also are proud of the fact that Ireland is telling a different story, hopefully, through this referendum campaign. That it's going to be telling a story of changing coercion and the harmful amendment into, hopefully, a compassionate and caring law, one that hears from all sorts of different types of voices and people that have been kept out of the conversation up to this point. And so that's why we're particularly delighted to have the range of speakers we have this afternoon at the launch, and to hear from human rights litigants like Amanda Bennett, to hear from migrants and ethnic minorities for reproductive justice, and to hear from the Centre for Disability Law and Policy, and of course to hear from our own Katie Dawson as someone who represents social justice lawyering. And so there's a wealth of resources that we can build on through the launch today, and we really encourage you to think about law as this open conversation, to think about us as telling a new positive story through the campaign. And so we'll hand over to our speakers now shortly. All right, Paula? Yeah, all that. We're being recorded so that we'll be able to make this accessible, particularly to deaf community for Yes, but also more generally. And it's being signed, as you can see, in order to make it accessible. So our first speaker today is someone who'll be very well known to you, Amanda Mellett, who took her case to the UN Human Rights Committee in Mellett in Ireland. And not only was Amanda and James, her husband, successful in being the vanguard for so many of us with terminations for medical reasons, and in getting a ruling that Ireland was in breach of human rights in so many different ways. But that case is also significant internationally because it was the first time that the criminalisation of abortion was found to be a breach of human rights. So we're really pleased to be able to hear from Amanda today, because it's been so important to the campaign how Amanda and other members of Termination for Medical Reasons have taken their lives to court and taken up the legal mantle for us in so many ways. So thanks for coming along, Amanda, and I'll hand over to you, and then I'll introduce the other speakers later.
Okay, thank you. I'm not good at shouting or projecting. I'm not good at projecting, but I'll do my best. So thank you for having me here this evening. My own experience, as you all know, maybe if you've heard of the case, is Mellett versus Ireland, which is kind of a weird feeling to be Mellett versus Ireland, but that's what happened. So I suppose what happened to me and my husband was that I became pregnant, and we were very excited. And I always get emotional even when I talk about it now, but bear with me. So we were very excited, and it was the summer of 2011, and we went for a 12-week scan, and everything looked fine, and we were happy and planning and looking for buggies and cots and wondering would it be a boy or a girl. And the next scan we went to I was 21 weeks pregnant, and that's where everything my world was completely turned upside down. We were quickly told that there were serious problems with our baby, and we saw kind of a sonographer who was not a consultant, I suppose. It was, we were in thinking it was just going to be a routine scan, and it was a Friday. So she told us she was very concerned for our baby, didn't really tell us much more than that, except there were serious problems with her heart, and she could only see 3 chambers of the heart. And we went away then for the weekend and had to come back on Monday to see a consultant. So I suppose that was the beginning of our hell, really. And the following week we went back in. We were still hoping that, they were wrong, there was a mistake. We went for an amnio that Monday, and then we had results on the Thursday, which coincided with my husband's birthday. The day we were told our baby had Edwards syndrome. And that we found out we were having a girl. So we very quickly found ourselves in a situation where we were told in no uncertain terms our baby was not going to survive. But they could not do anything for us in Ireland except scan me and check for a heartbeat and see when my baby would pass away inside me, or if I went to term, that she would die during labor or shortly after birth. Or if we chose to travel, then we could induce labor and have what's called a compassionate induction, where basically you're delivering your baby stillborn, and you are, I suppose, bringing about the inevitable without having months and months and months in between, where you're wondering every second of every day if your baby has died inside you. So I suppose that's very hard to sit with that. And so my husband and I discussed it and decided I didn't want to continue in that state, and I didn't feel that there was anything to be gained for my baby to continue in that state. So we were put in touch with the IFPA because the hospital couldn't be seen to make a referral. I mean, the whole thing, it's hard to even put into words how bizarre. You're trying to come to grips with this diagnosis, and yet you're being told you've got to go off to the IFPA and speak to them about your options, and we can't fax your records over to another hospital, so the IFPA have to send them, and it's just, the whole time you're just going, what is going on here? And that, I suppose it's still to this day, I am not over it, because how do you get over an experience like that? It's not just getting over the loss. I think you can come to terms with the fact that bad things happen and things go wrong in a pregnancy for some people, and that is just Mother Nature. But what was not natural was the way we were treated. And so we ended up going to Liverpool Women's Hospital. It was about 3 weeks after I had been diagnosed. I delivered my baby there. I was so exhausted because I had gotten very sick from the medication. By the time she was delivered, I just passed out. I didn't get to spend time with her. We got up in the morning and we had about an hour with her, and then we had to get on a plane. And I think I was about 12 hours after delivering her that I was back on an airplane in the airport, bleeding, thinking I was going to faint, and going, I can't faint. If I faint, they won't let me on the plane. I need to get home. I just wanted to get home to my bed. That's all I wanted, was to pull the covers over my head and cry and be alone and not be in public, you know? And I couldn't do that. I had to be on Ryanair. I can't fly Ryanair to this day, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but, you know, it's just, why were we put through that, and why are women still put through that? And I suppose we were so angry that we couldn't grieve. We were so angry with the way we've been treated, we couldn't grieve. So when we came back to Ireland, we just felt we wanted to do something about it. And that was a very long journey, and I hope that we are coming towards the end of that journey. But it has taken its toll, and it's exhausting, and it's draining, and you're seeing and meeting new people all the time who have gone through a similar situation now, and that is very hard as well, because all this time it's so unnecessary to put women and their partners through this additional hurt. We did not do anything wrong. We were in a horrendous situation. People make different choices. Some choose to carry on and some don't. And that is a personal, private decision between you and your partner. It should have never we should have never been shifted off to another country because we made that decision. So I suppose that was what motivated me, and we formed a group called TFMR Ireland. We started a support group called Lonov McCree, and we've been doing those things. I took a break because I just had to, but I suppose now that the referendum is so close, I just feel we can't miss this opportunity. We will regret it for who knows how many years if we miss this opportunity, and our daughters will pay the price, and we can't let that happen. So I just hope that I think everyone here is probably a yes, but I just hope that you will also talk to people that you think may not be a yes, and they're not easy conversations to have, but it's such an important opportunity, and we really don't want to miss this and to have to go through this again. Thank you.
Thank you.